We seem to be live. What do you think? Are we live?
Quite possibly.
Alrighty. I think that's the right button. Let's click that one.
Everyone
Yeah,
thinks because you're
why
a
not?
zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, 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 my lovelies, and welcome back to another episode of Court's Garden Chronicles. With me tonight is my amazing husband.
Hello.
Chaos and I are going to talk about cemeteries, things that people do in cemeteries, read you a poem about death, a story, and other random things about the spooky season as we come into it. Because spooky season has been agreed that it started a month early. Not that any of us are complaining. If we can have Christmas all of November, we can have spooky season all of September. And I'm not going to yuck on anybody else's yum. I just want everybody to enjoy their favorite seasons as long as possible. But I digress. Death is not the end, my friend. There is a whole new journey to be had. Bodies lay here. In this beautiful corpse garden, your soul has the ability to go farther than you ever did in life. Take the hand of the loved one after your last breath and see your next adventure. The reason I added take the hand of your loved one is because in everything I've seen from talking with my dad and grandparents, there's always been a loved one by their side to take their hand. They're just waiting there with them. They know it's the end and they're just going to go with them, have them come with them that final time. And that has brought me actual the ability to come to terms with the fact that they have passed away because they have someone there. How do you feel about that idea?
I agree. I
The moving on to the cemetery thing. What things have you enjoyed doing in cemeteries?
when I go, I I usually look at the headstones and the different the names on the headstones and the different families that are there, how many of each family member, how old each grave actually is, and then the general quietness in the place.
I love that. I love seeing who's there. I love just going and sitting with loved ones. This has been through books and stuff and listening to others. I have loved people just making a picnic lunch and go sitting at the grave with that loved one and just talking and eating and remembering. Others, teenagers and adults alike, have decided because of the heightened excitement that it can bring, going to cemeteries and having happy, fun times that you have with certain loved ones because it provides a thrill. And I've never done that, but I thought that that particular scene in The Stupidest Angel was hilarious. But yeah, um, lately we've been going on dates to cemeteries and looking at the tombstones and seeing who's there or finding family and seeing how, and I've never seen, I haven't got to meet a lot of his family members in life, and I've found them in death at the cemetery. It has been really wonderful to see them there. But, well, not, I'm not happy that they passed away, but it's been wonderful to finally find their graves because cemetery dates are calm. There's usually just us, and we can walk around and talk and just have the silence that is so beautiful from cemeteries. Have you enjoyed our cemetery dates?
Yeah, I have.
What has been some of your favorite things that we've talked about or just had the ability to calmly just be?
Um, I've mainly just, for the most part, enjoyed the quiet peace of just us being together, walking through.
Because when I say cemetery dates, guys, I mean we're it's just us taking time to be together away from everything, and nobody's gonna judge us at a cemetery. But we can learn things. We can see the beautiful monuments people have given their families, or we can find people we didn't even know who passed away.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was that was very saddening. Like, oh, I didn't even know they passed away and they're buried by your dad.
yeah.
Holy cow. Um, but uh what has been your favorite monument you've seen so far?
Oddly, my favorite grave and monument is actually also the saddest. It's the monument of a few-month-old child where his family took the time and put him little toys on top of his grave they love to play with.
That is awesome and saddening as well. I have loved the ones where one had a scene in the woods with deer. That one was beautiful. Um, there have been ones that were accidental where the tree had grown through the tombstone and how it grew together was just beautiful. It has there have been um so many things that so many things that are just amazing. What has blown you away most about the monuments of all of them?
The detail usually taken in their craftsmanship.
I think I'm gonna see if I can talk the local monument company into letting us have an interview so we can learn more about those. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
So, as we get into spooky season, what is your favorite thing that people do for Halloween?
My favorite thing that people usually do is just watch horror movies. I've I've always enjoyed just watching different horror movies through Halloween. I'll sit there like on Halloween night, just sit there with a bowl full of candy that's supposed to go out to random trick or treaters that never wind up showing up, and just binging a random horror movie and making the bowl disappear.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. As in, I hope we get to actually have the candy and do so this time around. I think so far I have enjoyed uh I have totally enjoyed watching the scary movies with our children and seeing what they think. And I think the cutest thing so far has been Dante and Paranorman.
Yeah.
He's just learning how to speak, but he wants to watch Coraline and Paranorman over and over again, and I blame Sophia for this. And the one word he learns that describes any feelings at all is scared. And then he decides all feelings are scared. All of them. Happy, sad, whatever. They're scared. And now we've at least been able to differentiate happy and the other feelings, although all the others are now scared. Um, do you have a favorite horror movie you're looking forward to watching this season with us?
Um, I don't know. It just depends what we can get our hands on.
Okay, we have our hands on a whole lot of.
Yeah.
We can watch. We have all of the Friday the 13th, definitely, and so many others. So yeah,
Yeah. Most of the Friday the Most of the Friday the 13th are really good, especially before New Line got their hands on the product. But that's just my opinion.
And I know on the ad I had put up, we were going to do Caller Unknown, but the author would actually like to join us one day and do it with us. And I had picked Caller Unknown because that's one of my favorite stories by Michael Guzman. And generally, I just love all of Michael Guzman's work. So, um, I plan on having him on next episode, and that might be a Saturday episode. So we're going to we're going to do our normal fallback where the publisher, our Twisted Fae Queen, has given us full permission to read every single story in those three anthologies, just to continue to hype up the company. Although it is always, I love it whenever I get to have our favorite authors on. And so I'll figure out what we're doing in a few minutes because I planned on started reading about 8:30 with a little bit of conversation with Josh first with Chaos. Well, his name's Chaos, Josh, whatever I don't know. I've probably called him Josh 15 million times on other episodes.
Me.
But it is always fun to have any type of conversation with him. I think I definitely have been, you know what, guys? We have been watching the most horrible horror movies. The most terrible of terribles. And this time around in our Tomb of the Terrible, we are doing a medieval terribles. And a whole bunch of the stories, a whole bunch of the movies that we can find, we just threw on the wheel. And we're not talking about the original Amityville horror movie. No. We're talking about the ones that have decided to take the name Amityville and make their own horror movies around that, and there will have maybe the slightest link to Amityville or random things like putting the house in space like our last Monday. So,
Yeah, that was something else.
so if you find Tomb of the Terrible group, you can find the current one that we're doing. I have put a link so you can watch it, and please join us on that. Until then, I hope you guys tell us what horror movies you would plan on watching. I'm going to try to work harder on the group so there's a place for all of us to come talk and conversate. It's just there's so many shows on this network. So, what please tell us what horror movies you are looking forward to watching this season. What horror books you are looking forward to watching. And I will start putting definitely Wicked House Publishing and Fake Horror are two of the are two of the publishing companies I have been working with a whole lot lately. And I've gotten to read so many amazing books from there, both of them, and be in the Fake Horror ones. So yeah, we have Fae Whiskers coming up. And let me see if I can find it. There we go. Fae Whiskers, a whole bunch of wonderful stories. And I have a poem with my daughter where we did artwork. And I have a story about a monster that comes in the night. And yeah, the idea scared me. And I'm like, ooh, it came from a story prompt, a picture story, uh, well, not story, but a picture prompt in another group. Which would you rather have? Something really tall walking through or something flying? So, yeah, it became that story. I hope you guys come and see the other stories in the anthology. And my kid worked so hard. She is so young, and she made a very adorable picture. So, and it's her first time ever being published. Please come check it out. And we have another anthology that we have done together, the whole network, the Allight Menagerie anthology, with stories from the whole entire network, people who are hosts and people who have guest starred on our read stories in the Allight Library, not Allight Library, but Allight Society. Yep, I do need a nap, but that's beside the point. I hope you guys also go visit the haunted attractions that they have available. They have so many available. Just look up haunted attractions around you. Because I know that places like Hell's Dungeon and is opening this weekend and or has opened, and so many more around the country because it's Friday the 13th. And I want you guys to go to have fun and do scary, spooky things, or just go to your local cemetery with by yourself or with a loved one and just have a breather. Because those people, those I have sat and talked to a tombstone before, and in hopes that that loved one or friend has heard me, and I feel they have heard me.
Just be mindful when you go strolling through a cemetery. Be extremely mindful of your foot placement because you never know what graves are marked and what isn't.
So, I think I have talked more than you have. Did you want to add anything to the spooky season roster idea?
I don't know.
Because we do trick or treating.
Yeah.
We do random things with the kids if we can find anything around town that we can either afford or if we can afford it or it's free or if it's just something fun to do. And then trick or treating. And we have got them really cute costumes this year because they want to be game characters. So we found all three of them are two are from one game and the other is from a different game. And I think the smallest one picked the creepiest costume. What do you think?
Yeah.
But our princesses and prince are going to be adorable regardless. What is the biggest thing you are looking forward to for our spooky season that we are going to do that you want to plan?
Part of me's contemplating on if if they're doing that one trick or treat out in on the lake, go do that, go walk around that one with the kids because there's a state park out on out on the lake where there are all sorts of vehicles parked throughout the state, throughout the RV park and camping grounds. And
Oh, isn't that like the one we did last year?
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, that one was um those who may have seen the different pictures on my Facebook, because some had really cool things like Beetlejuice or pretty arches or whatever. And
Although it was a bit of a workout.
It was worth it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't. It's just a bit of a workout. Especially when you're a natural born hermit going out amongst peoples.
Yes, but it's worth it. You can't tell me the kids didn't enjoy seeing your aunt that day.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, "Yay, I love you."
People.
And yeah, it's been kind of rambling. I'm sorry, guys, but it's been like different ideas. We are hermits and we do very few things. And I try to find things that we can afford, being on the lower end of the pay scale, that we can do with the kids. Because he asked for 3 children, so that's what we did. And I think we were given the 3 most amazing kids that we could have ever been given, and seeing them blossom. I think the coolest thing is Dante asked for a skeleton, and they are actually pretty affordable lately. Like, I was able to get one nearly his size for $10, and he had named it Jesse, and he's already broke its arm off by giving it a too hard high five.
Sounds about right.
But apparently it likes reading books with him and dancing and fighting creepers.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
So yeah. So there will be I'm thinking Scary Tactics by Gary Wask will be our story tonight, and then next time we are going to have Michael Guzman, I should say. I call him Mike because I call all Michaels Mike. I even named my son, his middle name is Mike, for the obvious scary season reason. You all know why, right? Right. So, since he's going to do that, I'm going to wait, because as much as I love that story, it'll be even more fun hearing it from him. So, before we do the story, we are going to have our short commercial break.
Short commercial. Oh.
And then we will be back.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorking Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
Okay, beautiful people. We are back from our break, and we are going to read our story. We are going to read Scare Tactics, and then we will talk about it afterwards. And if you have any thoughts or comments or requests, or if you want to come on and read your own horror stories, as long as they cannot be erotic in any way or have any of those type of scenes, just scary stories, we can do that. But here we go. Elmer and Dolores Monk went at each other, growling and hissing like a dog and cat. They had been married for 25 years and didn't get out much. He suffered from a back injury that he sustained in a coal mining accident, and she had a heart condition and high blood pressure. When they did leave their Ripley, West Virginia home, it was usually to pick up burgers and fries from McDonald's or go food shopping at the Piggly and Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly. Does it sound like I said Piggly and Wiggly?
You did.
The Piggly Wiggly. I know the name of the store. I've shopped there. Sorry. The latest disagreement erupted as Elmer was watching his favorite movie again, the 1959 low-budget horror film, The Shockapede, starring Vincent Price. This time, the dispute would not end with a simple sorry from either husband or wife. As the bump, 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 bump sound of a heartbeat could be heard coming from the flat-screen TV, Elmer knew the words he longed to hear were about to be uttered by his favorite actor. He picked up the remote control and turned up the volume. Something that always annoyed Dolores. In this film, pandemonium breaks out when Vincent Price hysterically informs the patrons in a movie theater that it's the Shockapede! More chaos erupts when the projected shadow of the creature can be seen crawling across the screen. This sends people dashing for the exit. Price isn't finished. Scream! 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 He implores. Yes, I know that is not how he does it. Give me a break. For those who are not acquainted with Shockapedes, first of all, realize everyone has one. It's an organism that comes to life at the base of a person's spine if he or she is frightened. This causes a tingling sensation down the spine. A Shocapede appears on X-rays as a worm-like centipede that slowly encases the spine, causing the person's back to become rigid. Of course, by the time its victim is quite unconscious or worse, unless he or she screams, which loosens the grip of the, in some well-documented cases, Shockapedes that have grown to be 12 inches or longer have escaped the confines of the human body and caused havoc in the community. Dolores gave out a scream of her own after hearing Vincent Price on the TV again. She marched into the living room wearing her housecoat. Oh, not this again. How many times do we have to watch that same dumb movie, Elmer? she complained with her hands on her hips. Just shut the damn thing off. It's time for dinner. She also couldn't stand the repeated sight of Vincent Price, who seemed to be speaking directly to her from the 55-inch TV screen. His combined black hair was punctuated by a widow's peak. Combed back black hair was punctuated by a widow's peak. I love this story so much I just keep tripping over my tongue. Sorry, guys. Long, wicked eyebrows, curved upward, and a villainous thin mustache extended just beyond both sides of his upper lip. All of his will as his contorted face and his face. Sorry. All of this, as well as his contorted face and his evil eyes, gave her the heebie-jeebies. What are you fixing? Elmer asked, knowing full and well what her response would be. Yes, she answered him, devoid of any enthusiasm. Mac and cheese. Bingo, right again. Dolores had touched a nerve. You're always belly aching that I watch the Shakopede over and over again. And then you prepare the same dinner over and over again. Why can't we have prime rib once in a while? He suggests in a demanding way. I'm tired of your complaining. If you don't like it, you can lump it. That's all we can afford, living off our Social Security and your pension, he said the retired high school cafeteria worker. Don't get me wrong, honey bunch. I love having mac and cheese every night. A person can never have enough mac and cheese, he said, with a straight face. Are you being sarcastic? Not at all, my dear. Maybe if you were nicer to me, I'd fix spaghetti once in a while. If you were really nice to me, I'd add some meat sauce. Now shut the ridiculous movie off and come to the table. Your scrumptious mac and cheese is getting cold. And that's how you treat me. That's how you treat me. Cold, Elmer thought to himself. He began counting backwards silently to calm down. After scratching his stubbled beefsteak face, he got up and joined his wife at the dinner table, not completely cleared of the crumbs from the previous meal. What a lazy, no-good slob, Dolores thought as her husband ambled towards the dinner table in flippers topped with a lint, wearing only worn-out boxer shorts and a dark sleeveless shirt sprinkled with dandruff. As usual, she wouldn't eat much because she was still trying to maintain her figure. Elmer, on the other hand, was content in maintaining his round shape and being slovenly. There was food left on her plate. He'd reach over with his fork and help himself. Just as they were finishing their meal, Elmer, still annoyed by his wife's criticism, said, You complain about everything I do. Why can't you just let me watch my movie in peace? I don't ask for much, and you don't do very much either. Why do I have to do everything? It's about time you got off your lazy butt and did something around here. Like what? How about running the vacuum and cleaning the toilets for starters? And please don't give me the bad back alibis of yours. Make an effort. Get dressed too. Instead of sassing her back, Elmer decided to offer an olive branch. Okay, you've made your point. I'll change. Uh-huh. Right. I've heard that one before. Dolores walked back into the living room, picked up the remote control, hit the button that ejected the Shakopede DVD, and handed it to him. After dinner, we're watching the movie Pride and Prejudice. Elmer was tempted to let out a but refrained from doing so. Great, I love Jane Austen, he said with a little conviction. Yeah, I'm sure you do. While Elmer was examining the cover of the Shakopee DVD, an idea occurred to him. His eyes narrowed. I've been thinking a lot, Dolores, he said, beaming. Well, that's a first. Elmer ignored the light and hoped her disposition would change after hearing him out. What do you think about us taking a little vacation to the Bronx? The Bronx? That's a long drive for someone with a bad back. Dr. Henderson wouldn't be pleased. I'll be okay as long as we stop once a while, and I did those stretching exercises he recommended. So how about it? We can visit our old stomping grounds, see our relatives and friends, and of course, eat at Marv's Deli a few times. It'll be like a second honeymoon. It all sounds very nice, but how in the heck can we afford to go on a trip? Don't worry about that. I have some money. You have some money. How can that be? We're eating mac and cheese nearly every day. Have you been holding out on me? No, of course not. I was going to tell you before you read me the riot act. I won $500 this afternoon in the lottery scratch-off. Dolores was euphoric. Her disposition changed from bellicose to warm and fuzzy, just like that. Oh, Elmer, that's wonderful. We haven't been to the Bronx in 10 years. The monks decided that they'd leave on their trip the following week. They would give her enough time to go shopping and stop by to see Dr. Robert Henderson. He was a middle-aged man who Dolores was attracted to from the time she first set eyes on him. And most importantly, he listened to her, unlike Helmer, and seemed concerned. This time, she had a lot to discuss with him. Elmer backed the couple's beat-up Ford Explorer out of the garage and onto the cracked concrete driveway. He opened the back of the SUV to load their suitcases. Why are you bringing 2 suitcases? Dolores asked. We're only staying 4 days. Well, honey, you know how humid it is in the Bronx in July and how I sweat, so I brought along enough clean clothes to change into. I don't want you to do any laundry or ironing while we're on vacation. You're damn right. I'm not doing laundry or any ironing, she said, perturbed. The trip through the Appalachian Mountains to the Big Apple seemed like it was never going to end. Despite the monotony, their conversation was pleasant for the first time. They actually seemed to enjoy each other's company. They smiled as New York City skyline appeared in the distance. After parking their SUV, the monks walked to the entrance of Frank's Hotel. On their way, they passed 2 winos sleeping on the sidewalk. There were no doormen. The faded and matted red carpeting in the lobby appeared as if it hadn't been vacuumed in years. On the counter of the main desk were stacks of discount coupons for local fast food restaurants. At the registration desk, Elmer tapped the small metal bell a couple of times. As they waited for the attendant to arrive, Dolores looked at her husband calmly and asked, How did you find this place? In the automobile club directory. Where else? Only the best for us, Dolores. Only the best. Instead of lashing out at her sweetie, she remained silent, which was unlike her. There really was no reason to get upset at this point. Elmer tapped the bell again. They heard a voice from a room off the main desk announce, I'll be right there with you. Finally, a frail little disheveled man arrived from behind the curtain. He still had sleep in the corners of his bulging eyes, even though it was 11:45 in the morning. "How can I help you?" he asked. "We're the monks. I believe we have a reservation," Elmer said. "Yes, yes, a reservation." He began to snicker. Only a few people were staying at the 40-room hotel, and all of them except one were government-subsidized renters. "In room 214, and one that overlooks the Allerton Theater, right?" asked Elmer. "Well, what do you know? It's available. You need to pay me now, just in case you decide to skedaddle in the middle of the night. It's happened before. I don't want to get stiffed. That'll be $20. We're members of the automobile club. Is there a discount?" $20, max. That's the lowest I can go. Used to be $50, but we're offering a special rate right now." Dolores was disgusted. She couldn't believe how cheap her husband was. But she didn't say anything. "If you don't mind me asking, what's with the Allerton Theater?" the man behind the main desk asked. "Nostalgia. That's where my parents would drop me off to watch horror films when I was a kid," Elmer said. After grabbing a quick bite at Marv's Deli, Elmer and Dolores held hands as they strolled down Arnu Avenue, reminiscing about growing up in the neighborhood and how they had met. Back in their hotel room, she again asked, "Why did you choose this hotel?" 2 seconds. "I told you, only the best for you." They received a good write-up. "I bet this place deserves half a star rating at the best out of possible 5. But I'm not complaining. It's better than staying at home and yelling at you for watching the Shakopee movie." "Interesting. You should mention that, honey. If you really want to know why I chose the hotel, it's because there was a report that Shakopee had been seen in this hotel last week." "You must think I'm a real dummy." "There's no such thing as a Shakopee. Are you trying to frighten me to death?" "Of course not. I was joking. You know I have a heart condition. It wasn't funny." Elmer feigned contriteness. "I'm sorry. Okay, just don't joke about anything like that." "I won't, Dolores. Well, anyway, I'm going to jump in the shower." "How high are you going to jump?" she asked. "That's a good one, Dolores." It was a moment of rare levity between the couple that didn't last long. "Please don't steam up the bathroom like you always do," she reminded him. "I'll try not to. And save some hot water for me. Don't worry, I will." After she finished unpacking her suitcase, Dolores reached into her handbag and retrieved her cell phone and made a quick call to a confidant. Everything was going as planned, she surmised. A few minutes later, Dolores opened the bathroom door slightly. She was greeted by a wave of steam, making it nearly impossible to make out her husband. "I need a little nosh," she said. "I'm going to buy a Milky Way or something from the vending machine. Do you want anything?" "A Coke or a Sprite, whatever, maybe some pretzels," Elmer said. "You're sure taking a long time in there. Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Vending machine was just down the hallway, so was her confidant. When she returned to the room about 15 minutes later, she was holding the snacks in the long steel box. "I'm back, Elmer," she announced. Dolores carefully placed the box on the bed, sat down on the recliner, and went about unwrapping a Reese's peanut butter cup. The bathroom door opened, and through the escaping steam emerged a man in a doctor's white lab coat. His slick black hair was combed back, and he had thin black mustache. "Where's Elmer?" Dolores asked. "Elmer? Who's Elmer?" "I am Dr. Warren Chapin." Don't you recognize me? Recognize me from the Shakopede? The Shakopede! Dolores clutched her chest as if she were experiencing a seizure. Scream, Dolores, scream. That's the only way to stop the Shakopede. It lives and is coming to get you. I can't, scream Dr. Warren, I can't. Try, Dolores, before it's too late. Maybe this will help. He held out a rubbery object that resembled the movie Shakopede. Instead of dying from fright as Elmer has anticipated, Dolores smiled and then began to laugh. But not her husband. He was in the least bit amused by her reaction. His plan had gone awry. Good try, Elmer. I know you were up to something. You were in the bathroom forever, rehearsing, I'm sure. That's right, Dolores. I was rehearsing. Elmer admittedly nervous. You know me. I like to pull pranks. Elmer, I knew it was you. How'd you like my Vincent Price impersonation? Excellent. You should have been an actor. No hard feelings, then? None whatsoever. And now that you've had your little fun, I have something to show you. Dolores, she inserted a key into the still box and lifted its top. What could it possibly be? Thought Elmer. Here, right here. Look in the box, on the bed. Get closer, dear. Take a peek and don't be a fraidy cat. Elmer leaned over to get a better view. That's when his face suddenly turned pale. Ba-bump, 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 went his heart, loud enough for his wife to hear. The large worm-like thing inside the 16-inch box had antennae on its head and a tail of hundreds of legs. After slowly making its way out of the top of the box, it plopped on the bed. Oh my God, the Shakopede lives! Elmer shouted. Dolores pushed her husband, who was frozen by fear, onto the bed. Using a rolled-up newspaper, she poked at the Shakopede, nudging it close to him. Scream, Elmer, scream! That's the only way to stop the Shakopede. Isn't that what you just told me? Yes, Dolores, I did. Please help me. I can barely move. The thing finally attached itself to the back of Elmer's leg. Its goal was reached and dig its way into Elmer's lower back. He briefly tried to get up, but instead collapsed to the bed, swiping at the thing that was crawling up his leg and injecting him with a paralyzing venom along the way. Remember, Elmer, the Shakopede feeds off your fare. The only way to stop it is to scream. Please, Dolores, get it off me. Dolores ignores Elmer's pleas and decided to take a shower. I'll be back in about 10 minutes, honey. Don't go anywhere. I'll try not to steam up the bathroom like you did. When she came out, Elmer's eyes were still open. He could no longer speak. As he lay motionless, the Shakopede continued the excavation of his spine. Like a Cuisinart, it chomped and blended discs and nerves and ligaments and muscles, which it then fed to itself. Sensing the Shakopede needed more prep as it worked its way around the vertebrae and the joints, Dolores poured worms she had purchased from the pet store into the hole it had burrowed into her husband's back. It worked. The Shakopede was fully energized and picked up its pace of its mining. Finally, it tried wrapping itself around Elmer's lower spine, and it discovered the area was already occupied by another Shakopede. It would have to find another home. Dolores taunted her husband, even though He was now a corpse. If you thought you had a bad back before, just wait, Elmer. Goodbye, darling. I will never forget you. Instead of staring at Elmer and the mess that thing had made on the bed, Dolores realized she needed to get rid of the evidence. So first she washed the makeup off her husband's face and stashed the doctor's white lab coat and rubbery object that resembled the shockapede in her suitcase, then returned the still box to her confidant, Dr. Henderson, who had checked into the hotel during the previous week. After all that was done, she'd call the police. By that time, the shockapede was long gone. This was the way I found him after I took my shower, Dolores explained to the New York City medical examiner a few days later. He turned Elmer over and studied the raw flesh that had on his gouged out back. I didn't hear him scream or anything. If only he had screamed, he may have survived, said the medical examiner. Anyway, I am very sorry about your loss, Miss Smunk. One question before you leave. Did you know the shockapede had been spotted at your hotel days earlier? Well, after we checked in, Elmer claimed that the shockapede indeed had been seen in the hotel. I didn't believe him. After he saw how scared I was, he said he was just making it up. I guess he wasn't, He just loved that shockapede movie, so his dream came true. It actually came face to face with him. You have to look on the bright side of things. That's an interesting perspective. Anyway, Miss Monk, they're still searching for the tingler left and right. Where is it now? Is anyone's guess. The thing is going to keep many people up at night until it's found. Dolores grinned, which struck the medical examiner as odd. She was thinking of the garage sale where she would get rid of Elmer's belongings, including his favorite movies, putting her house on the market, and moving in with Dr. Henderson and planning their wedding day. No more mac and cheese. At least, not every day. What do you think, Josh?
That was interesting.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted this? Have that happened to anyone you didn't like?
Can't say I have.
Okay. This, I like the idea of this story. But then again, in this house, with as many times as our children watch certain things, because they have shows that they watch over and over and over again, and then your mom keeps rewatching the same 6 horror movies over and over and over again. Have you noticed the same 6 ones? And
Just a little bit.
so I can at least be grateful it's not the same one over and over. And yeah, I probably have ones that you come in and you're like, why are you watching this again? Didn't you just watch this earlier? I can honestly say I don't want to kill you.
That's good.
You want to kill me?
Not last time I checked.
And in case you guys were wondering, he is my husband. I told him he had to join me this episode because I wanted to find out what he thought.
Sorry, cramp.
Okay. So, would you recommend this book to others?
Yeah.
So, guys, definitely look up Nightmare Whispers and check out the books. And you'll find so many wonderful stories in it. And we are going to continue swapping between stories and interviews as I can talk different people of the death industry. Yes, I know it sounds weird, the death industry, but those like the morticians and those who make the monuments like the tombstones and stuff and so on. Now, if you actually want to see our show about the haunters, because I know you have wondered about haunters, if you want to find out and see our interviews with actual haunters from the haunted attractions, you're going to have to go to a different show. That is called Chainer's Haunted Secrets, where Pyle and Raz and I and on those wonderful nights where we get people like Steven and Ron, we can interview different people from the haunt industry, haunters, haunt owners, people who makes props. Please go check out Chainer's Haunted Secrets. Join us Monday for our next horror movie review. Come join us in the Tomb of the Terrible group to find out what that is. I posted the link where you can watch it for free. Thank you guys for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful night.
Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Bye.